Welcome to this week's episode of The Perceptive Readers, a podcast series made in the Product of Culture, aka Pop Books website's office. Hi, I'm James. I'm about to share something with you that 99% of the world won't know, and I'm going to wager that even the 1% that was not mentioned won't know it either. Hi, I'm James Lynch, and welcome to this Pop Books Update moment. I want to share an account with you, and it is a true account, true event in one young boy's life. You've heard me mention over the years that this one boy had a father that, if the type of surveillance systems and censorship and busybodies taking over the world, I got the joke, I got to laugh about that, was in the same type of situation when he was raising his son would not have learned probably even 95% of the things that his father shared with him. Why? Because it was the type of knowledge, training, and teaching that requires a long time, requires meditation, requires the person feeling no pressure at all in what they're expressing on whether they're going to be judged adversely or not, you see. Now, with that thought, being aware of this, the situation that I'm going to explain to you actually have to do with what some people would call a celebrity. Now, let me go right back to this information that this boy's father shared with him. See, his father had a ability to still really see all people for who they really were. So when other people may faint when these certain persons talk to them or fell before their feet or what have you, it never had that type of effect upon him, and it didn't have that effect upon his children or his sons in particular. Why? Because of the way that he was able to always put the human element, the human heart with it, so that you could really see even sometimes that, hey, you separate the role or even the occupation from that person at times, and you get them in the setting the same way that you and I, you see, the father and son was talking, and you will see at times just what type of wonderful personalities they have, even their hearts. Now, with all that background information, let me share a story with you. If you were to go to Pop Book, let me see. Let me look at the date. Today is August 26th on a Thursday. My social sharing day where I share other items and other people's links than just the normal, musicians and singers that I've used over the years for the popbooks.com so that you can really enjoy their works. So there are certain special links that I share at times. You don't see them all the time, but maybe once or twice a year or even more over the years you will see their links. And now, of course, different people again have their different expressions about these persons and this and that, and sometimes you can tell they even mutter under their breath about the reason why I share this or that. And they go into these different conversations about, does he know this person? Does this or that or this or that or whatever? Even though it really just doesn't matter. But remember, I told you this is a true event that I'm about to share with you, a true account that I'm about to share with you. If you were to look at the very person who is in slot number 1 right now at this time, this person I actually seen them carry out their athletics, their performance, and yes, even script over the years many times. Yes, even in avenues and venues that once this person became big time, people didn't even realize, oh, this is how they started off. This is where they started off at. Yes, this is where they used to start off, on the local level and things of this nature. Not that, many conversations was carried on, because it wasn't. The whole point was live performances. Yes, they were saw. They were actually saw, and things of that nature. But see, that's not what I want to talk about here. I just want to give you the background to it, and about this one person who's fathered a way that, remember I told you could put the human element and the human heart with things. The sport, let me tell you about the sport. The sport was called wrestling, okay? And they call it professional wrestling. And back in the day, you see, decades gone past, don't you know, arguments and ball brawls and everything else used to break out over sometimes whether this event was true, whether this match was rigged or not, or set up. I mean, I'm telling you, arguments, fights, everything. But for some people, you can tell they enjoyed it. But see, that was all part of the experience of what the TV professional entertainment, which they didn't even call it entertainment back then. No joke. They used to actually just say, hey, this is the sport. All right. And so with that being said, the result was some of the wrestlers were able to create and perform a niche, involving their personality and profile, persona and everything, to such a degree, whether it was good or bad, that it made them lucrative. It made them rich, you see. And some people, I think to this day, probably hate some of these persons. I mean, literally hate them. But see, still giving you background. Well, one day, and this was actually, during the time period of, again, they was able to see, a live performance, if you will. And the boy and his father got into a serious conversation. Well, the seriousness was more on the boy's part, because I remember I told you the arguments going about and this and that. And he was mentioning what some of the classmates were saying at times, and saying, my dad told me this and this and that, and it's fake and it's real. And see, look at it, chicken blood and all this other stuff like this. See, now, like I said, I'm getting to the point where I guarantee you no one has ever heard it expressed like what I'm about to tell you. So anyway, the father listened. And the father, you can tell, already knew the answer to everything. But see, here it is. This was just one of the regular routines, point of entertainment, or what have you will, that the father would just enjoy with his children, with his son and stuff like that, and would never take away the experience from them, you see, on whatever it is that they thought. But because he knew at this point in time the seriousness, the way that it was affecting his sons, his minds, and even, the straight up that, what is going on? Is this true or not? Listen closely. Now, you tell me if this was ever explained to you, who was actually, living during that era and things of that nature. The father said this. He said, sure, son. It is scripted, a lot of it. Now, he stated that, but then notice what he said next that still left the dignity of this profession about this man that was mentioned in particular, or specifically. He said, but do you know how much proudness, he was talking about athletic, proudness, and strength it takes to do what they do? He said, do you know how much ability and talent it takes to do what they do, and then still do enough to really, once again, give us enjoyment that we have? And he said, and on top of that, he said, he didn't say on top of that. What he said was, so, no, even though it's not all the way that it looks, he still brought out the point that everything doesn't go as planned either. And he said, so sometimes, even though it may look like it was supposed to be a lighthearted punch, those guys felt the full blunt of it. He said, see, that takes, again, a toughness. And he went on to say other things further. And so I won't go so much into the personality still side of things, but see, he discussed that as well. So why am I sharing all of this with you today? In this matrix, as you hear me mention oftentimes, sometimes people are literally, this is a fact, I won't change my mind, I don't even have to change my mind, are at each other's throats at times, to use that expression. Why? All because of being wrapped up in what should be just a narrative or entertainment such like opera. I want to mention the Phantom of the Opera type things. And normally, see, parents can, and they do this, many parents do, can prepare their child's mind in such a degree where it's like, whoo, I enjoyed that. I got wrapped up in that or whatever. But you know what? It doesn't change the fact the next day whether they're going to still really view this person or this group of people because of what they saw that was meant to be a release in the entertainment value. Does that make sense to you? We could go further, but I won't. You have enough now to think about on this Social Sharing Thursday. As always, I want to say thank you for caring and sharing. You have a very wonderful, wonderful day. You have just listened to the Perceptive Readers Podcast. Remember, until next time, if you read something that encourages you to improve or enhance your life for the better, it becomes your reality.